Welcome, everyone, to the Unpopular Review AEW Dynamite Review Show. And this is the go-home show. It's New Year's Bash, and it's my second week back on Unpopular Review doing the review show. And week number 2, my co-hosts are gone. Apparently, they went to the AEW show, or one of them did, and one of them didn't. And I don't know what's going on. But now I'm leading. I had to take notes. So luckily, to help me out, we're sort of reversing roles because I'm more of the deputy and this is the sheriff. But in this case, I guess I'm a federal marshal and the sheriff is helping me out. But it's been a while, Tamara, since we've seen each other. So, Sheriff, first of all, how are you?
Doing well. Happy holidays. This is a blast from the past because we used to do the AEW shows a while back. So
I know. I mean, back in the early days, I introduced you to Unpopular Review, then I'm sure you led the coup to get me off, which was probably the right move anyway.
I staged the coup. It's true.
As you should have, as just the way I taught you to do. I taught you to do that secret heel turn. So, and there were plenty of turns. I mean, tonight, did we get a devil reveal, or was it just another Judas? So that's the cliffhanger, and that's the tease it's going to keep you to the end of the show. So tonight's Dynamite emanates from Orlando, which is the home, if not the spiritual home, of Unpopular Review, although it's not my home nor the sheriff's. The sheriff is a New Yorker, and I'm a native New Yorker.
Brooklynite.
Yeah.
You're in Baltimore now, right?
I did, yeah. Well, only since 1990, but yeah. So okay, before we could get into the show, there was a pre-show match that had Scotty 2 Hotty involved in it. So I just figured that we should throw that out.
He was in an
8-man match with, I think, the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass against 2.0 Cool Hand Angelo Parker and Magic Mike Menard, and I don't know, two bad guys, but I'm not entirely clear that Menard and Angelo Parker are entirely bear guys or on the same side any longer. In any event, I'm sure they're the ones who lost, even though I didn't see
turn it up.
Turn it up. There we go. So there's your Scotty 2 Hotty. Is he all elite? Don't know. Don't care. But we saw him. He was not the only cameo that we saw tonight, but we'll get into it. Anyway, so Tamara and I are going to take you through tonight's Dynamite, as only we can do because we haven't worked together in 3 years. So obviously we're going to be like a well-oiled machine, like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. And as you can see, I'm used to leading a show because I never lead a podcast. I mean, it's not what I do. Even in my own podcast, I mean, I sort of lead it, but it's mostly guest-led once I turn the show over to them. In any event, Tamara, anything you want to add or tell the folks, before we get started with the big show?
No, except for the fact that it's everybody Max, it seems like. So that's going to be a theme running here.
Mad Max, Fury Road. Yeah. By the way, I'm loving your green on green ensemble there. You've got the green shirt. You've got green lettering on your shirt. You've got the green screen behind you. I mean, you're practically like going She-Hulk on us.
It's because I'm green right now. I'm still shaking off the podcast, Russ. Thank you, bad guy Jack.
Yeah, what's up, bad guy
and
Jack?
He would know because he's the king of the beautiful people. So
indeed, he is. Absolutely. I mean, Marilyn Manson bows to him, and Angelina Love and Velvet Sky and Madison Rain follow him anywhere into the fire, just like Dokken. All right, so we start with the finals of the gold bracket round in the Continental Classic. As people will recall, this is the tournament G1 style point system. It is for the surrendered, I think, sort of Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship and surrendered New Japan Strong Heavyweight Championship, both held by Eddie Kingston. I don't know if they're sort of an escrow or if he's still formally the champion or what. Plus the newly minted AEW Continental Championship. Is this becoming one title, or are they going to walk around with 3 titles? Nobody knows. They're showing all 3 titles, so I'm guessing that's the way it's going to be. Probably makes sense in case New Japan severs their ties with them. Who knows? Anyway, so who's in this match? We're left with Swerve. Whose house? Swerve's house. The Switchblade, Jay White, that's right, Prince Nana coming out of me. in his all yellow sweatpants.
He swears when he drives.
That's right. He's swerving while he drives. And of course, Jon Moxley coming out through the crowd with a grammatically incorrect sweater or sweatshirt. This match was a triple threat, no DQ, but there's no outside interference. So explain to me, Tamara, how you can have no DQ but no outside interference allowed.
Well, in that way, there's no disqualification unless it's outside interference. Then you're disqualified.
Oh, they just said no DQ. I mean, so I don't know how that means. In any event, there wasn't any outside interference, so it didn't play.
It's like all you can eat, except if you eat too much.
Yeah, unless it's the lobster. So
yeah, unless it's the lobster, then chill, buddy.
Yeah, got to take it back a notch. Understood. All right. Well, it didn't come into play anyway. You would think that it was there to protect people in case they use devious tactics, and that didn't really play into the finish, but it did play a little bit into the story of the match. So, of course, before the match started, they did remind us that Switchblade targeted Jon Moxley's left knee, and his left knee was in bad shape at the end of last Dynamite. You would think that would have played a bigger role in the match. It came up from time to time, but I wouldn't say you would call that the story of the match. Am I off?
It's not the story, no.
Okay. What I thought the story of the match was, or if there really was one, it's hard to do a story when there's a three-man match, but it seemed that as often as possible, Jay White was trying to sit his way out and stay away from the action and then swoop in and make a move or use devious means, which sometimes worked. He used a chair. He did hit Jon Moxley in the knee, the left knee behind it, and did a chop block at some point. He also introduced the chair into the corner. And of course, that was reversed upon him because if you bring a chair into the ring, it's always used against you. The other story of the match was that, and I don't know if this was intentional, just the way things work out, but to me, Swerve was the standout in this match. He was the crispest of them all. Some of his moves were incredible. He was doing like bro kicks and like Sheamus style, and sort of like standing side kicks, like superhero flying kicks, and was hitting everything crisp and clean. Jay White's pretty crisp too, but he plays the hit and run kind of thing. Swerve is more of a fighter, whereas Moxley was his usual self. And if you like Moxley's style, then you like Moxley's style. If you don't like Moxley's style, then you probably didn't love this match.
I'll answer something because I do remember Tony Khan did say that they are unifying the titles. So I think it's the New Japan Openweight Strong title, the ROH title, and the Continental title. It'll become the Triple Crown title. So it'll be one title, but they have all the belts. Technically, Eddie was the champion of those belts, but he's not the Triple Crown champion. If he wants to get that title, he has to maintain basically in the tournament. So that's how that will work. But yeah. So, I mean, I like the fact that Swerve won because I want to keep that momentum going for him. I see him being, even if he doesn't win the tournament.
But Swerve didn't win.
I'm sorry?
Swerve didn't win.
He didn't?
No. This is AEW.
Swerve did win. What do you mean?
Tony Khan loves two men's penises, and that would be Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy's, and they don't lose unless it's okay with them. Then maybe a distant third is Chris Jericho. So of course Moxley won. I mean, so Swerve looked great, but Moxley, won.
Am I misremembering that?
I think that you are imputing what you would have liked to have seen, what most people would have liked to have seen. I heard a lot of people saying that they thought that Swerve was going to win. Then I heard a lot of lesser, but a fairly substantial amount of people saying they thought JY was going to win. And the whole time I'm laughing. This whole thing was set up to be one of two things: BCC versus BCC, because it's Brian's wish G1. But given his health, the B story was always. Yeah, it was always Eddie Kingston was going to come from behind and be the Triple Crown winner because, he masturbates over Japanese wrestling. So
Strickland lost and then he challenged Keith Lee. I remember that.
Well, good.
Oh,
See, you.
why did I think that was a? See, never mind. Sorry, Moxley. You just dashed on my dreams. I want to see that. What I was gonna say is I want to see that momentum going. But I was gonna say I don't see the Triple Crown title for him. I see the AEW World title for him. Like not that the Triple Crown isn't really worth anything, but I just see bigger things for Swerve. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably questions for another day and another show. Which secondary title is worth more at this point? The TNT title was supposed to be co-equal to the world championship, because there is no heavyweight. That's clearly not the case. The international champion, changed when the All Atlantic became the workman's champion, the workhorse champion, and so that's sort of, probably in the prestige of fans became the number 2 title. But this is 3 titles in one. I'm still not clear if they're just going to walk around with the Continental Championship or if they're going to carry all 3 belts. I still think they're going to carry all 3 belts. And so while they're going to say it's unified, how can it be unified if there's 3 belts? I mean, it was like when Roman was unified, but he's walking around with 2 belts. It didn't feel right. What is up, Hassan Terrell? Nice to see you. How was our Christmas day? I mean,
My Christmas was really good. Good food, good people, great times.
Yeah, we were invited to a dinner party in DC for Saturday night, which is not actually Christmas. So that was our big night out. And a friend of mine apparently likes scotch. Everybody who knows him knows that and buys him bottles of scotch as gifts, but he has no one to drink with. And there comes Jeff. So he's giving me taste tests with the scotch. It's been a while. I used to be a big drinker. I haven't been in the last, I don't know, probably 5 years or so. But I still have a pretty good palate for these things. So he's testing me on different things. I'm like, this one smells Lafroy-ish. She goes, well, it's Lafroy. I'm like, okay. And then the next one, the only one I got wrong was Johnny Walker Blue. But in fairness to me, I didn't think that somebody was going to be opening up a bottle of $280, blended malt on a scotch test. Because even though people think Johnny Walker is a scotch, it's not. It's a blend. Secondly, it's too expensive to be opening up on this thing. It's like, I don't care.
Anything can happen during the holidays.
He said his mother-in-law buys him a bottle every year. So he says, he goes, I probably have 2 bottles behind this one. So then I'm going to get another one in a week. So don't worry about it. Well, you don't have to ask me twice. And then at the end of the night, he switched it up with Cavassier. And, I couldn't really tell the difference because I don't know Cavassier. I thought it was McSullivan, which is sort of a warmer scotch. But I did feel sexier. Shay, thank you. That's for me. Thank you very much. Shay, you never lost it. So anyway, so now that Tamara is out of her bubble, like Aldo Nova said, life is but a fantasy. Can you live the fantasy life? Back to life. Mox won.
I don't wanna.
I know. I don't blame you. And when we leave from that, we do cut immediately to Swerve being interviewed in the back, and it's a promo, and he can't believe it. Why are you talking to me? My arm is falling off. I don't have any time to think. I'm sweaty. I hurt. I think he was trying to do a play at the Punk, Muffin Gate thing, but didn't quite get there. And then I forget who was interviewing. I think it was Shivani. So says something to the fact, well, somebody's been looking for you, and here's this contract. And Prince Nana's all upset. He's pulling a Paul Heyman. Why wasn't this run by me? It wasn't run by me. And then the interviewer's like, well, me holding this contract here is running it by you, which I thought was sort of funny. Oh, by the way, Tony Schiavone with a minor but major botch at the beginning of the show. I mean, one of the first things he said is looking forward to the finals at World's End this Sunday night, when, of course, I'm like, isn't that Saturday night? And then the next commentary, I think it was Excalibur, corrected him that it was Saturday night. Because World's End, in case you haven't bought it yet or you're planning on buying it or otherwise seeing it, it's Saturday night, not Sunday night.
Honestly, that scared me when I heard it. I went, am I wrong here? Did I misplan?
No, they're all drunk. And so, so there is no Collision this week.
He was in a bubble too today.
Yeah. Tony opted not to put Collision on at all this week. Rampage is being taped as we speak, and there's they set up a bunch of Rampage matches during Dynamite. Very important to do that, but the only reason that could be, well, it's Tony Khan, so you don't need reasons, but we presume there will be other World's End matches set during Rampage, which is awesome. So anyway, Swerve interrupts Nana and says, don't worry about it. the only thing me and Keith Lee have agreed upon in the last several years is that I am him. Let's see if he even shows up Saturday night, which, I think was a dumb line because Keith Lee's been looking for him, just beat Brian Cage last week and already signed the contract. But okay, we'll play it that way. So this is the quickest setup to the longest, most bumbling feud maybe of all time. This has been building for, I don't know, basically since day one when both of them were in AEW at the same time, probably around 20 months or so. And now also we get the match, 4 days before the pay-per-view. But okay, I mean, it's not a bad matchup. It's just, I think a lot of people are disappointed because a lot of people like you were invested in Swerve, so invested in Swerve that you actually created a different finish in your mind and convinced yourself it was true.
Truthfully, I've moved on from the Keith Lee match. And a lot of people pretended like they were like, oh no, we didn't get the Keith Lee match. But I'm like, you don't care, which is evidenced by the fact that we got it now and people don't care. So I was like, what is the point of this?
Yeah, it's all, but it also feels like a consolation for Swerve. I mean, they
To get him on the show, right?
Yeah, it's the wrong time. And, I don't know. Keith Lee's has been in mostly short matches, though his match with Brian Cage was rather long. And while Brian Cage was doing most of the moving, it's not like either of them was going to give us a 20-minute match. I don't know. Whatever. If it wasn't for the disappointment of what was going on, I wouldn't mind the match. And if this was a Dynamite match or a Collision match, I'd be like, cool. Rampage match, there's nothing that can make me excited about Rampage.
Would you really be cool with do you watch Rampage at all?
I do watch Rampage. I've never missed an episode. Now
you're on a rampage.
I've never missed an episode of any AEW television show. Period. I missed a few of their pay-per-views because I refused to pay for them, and I had opportunities to watch in other means and just decided to do other things with my life. But do I always watch Rampage at regular speed? No. I mean, I fast forward liberally, especially if I see anything involving Commander. I mean, that's it's that is time better spent. So our next segment, we kick it back to Renee, who's back to dressing ridiculously again, and she is with Mariah May, and Mariah May is excited to tell us that there hasn't been enough glamour in 2023. She's pretty disappointed about that. And she's going to have her debut next week on Dynamite, not on World's End. And they did not tell us who her match is going to be against. Why did you diabolically attack Rio? She's like, not so much to attack Rio, but it was to defend the greatest champion, Timeless Tony Storm, this timeless talent. So, meh.
I too would attack Rio to defend the Timeless Tony Storm.
Yeah. And then Rio runs into the ring at this time to go after Mariah May, who sort of backs off, begs off, and then Timeless Tony Storm runs in with Luther in tow. Of course, sometimes she's in black and white. Then when she's in the ring, it's in color. I know it's too late to do this, but I wish from the beginning, listen, this Timeless Tony Storm thing is clever. It's fun. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's not, but it's trying, and she's owning the character. The one thing they haven't done, which would really make it for me, is that when it went to color in the ring, that it said presented in Technicolor, like the old 1940s movies when they put them into Technicolor in the 50s. That would have made me happy.
That'd be clever, yeah. They could also give her a black and white belt. I'd like to see that.
That'd be fun. That's a good idea. So she runs in and she's fighting with Rio, but Rio stands tall and Luther carries her away, and that's that. So 2 talking segments in a row after the big Triple Crown match. And then after that, we get another talking segment in a row with Top Flight and Action Andretti. So, they had a tough loss, but they feel okay. I mean, they knew nothing was guaranteed. Their heads are still up, and they're going to issue another challenge. And, as Kevin Owens always tells us on WWE, don't say anyone's name 3 times because then they're going to come out. It's the rules. Don't issue a challenge backstage at AEW because Orange Cassidy will be 5 feet away, sidling over, and accepts their challenge with Trent and Rocky Romero. Spoiler, I haven't seen the match. I haven't seen spoilers, but the young guys win, and Rocky Romero is the one who eats the pin. So if you don't need to watch Rampage, I already told you what happens in that match.
No spoiler alert, no nothing.
Right. What I can't tell you is who will be injured in this match, because whether it's one of the Martins or Trent Beretta, that's always 50-50 for all of them.
No one will play.
Oh.
But I'm gonna take a guess and say we got another talking segment.
And you are right.
Who knew?
And this time it's a Miro promo with some flashbacks to what's been going on, and basically nothing new except that he's going to face Andrade because he must destroy him now. He doesn't care the promise he made to his wife. He's not going to kill Andrade because his wife represents Andrade, just because he hates Andrade, which is what he said a couple weeks ago in a recorded promo. And their match is also at World's End. Now, CJ, Lana, got a finger infection about a week or so ago, and it looked pretty nasty, and apparently it was from a splinter. I think, from the way it spread like venom and like it was sepsis or like a snake bite, the way it was poisonous, I have to believe that Jon Moxley bit her. But she actually had to be hospitalized and had surgery. Now, I haven't heard anything. I'm going to assume no news is good news here. I hope so. But why am I telling you all this, aside from that it's newsworthy, is that this feud was all about CJ representing Andrade. And for it to explode to a match should have involved something with CJ and Miro on screen to cause the blow up. And because she's injured, they couldn't do it. And because Tony Khan, doesn't really care about this shit, and Andrade's probably going to leave if all rumors are said to be true. So he puts it on this pay-per-view. Again, the matchup, it's a fine matchup. It's just the story without CJ being at the center of it, live and present for the last couple of weeks. It feels rush and like a consolation, even though it's anything but rushed. I mean, Miro, I think, has had 5 matches all year.
I mean, this wasn't it wasn't like, I guess, without event. This was the return of Sammy Guevara, so I know we kind of rushed past that, but I mean, we haven't seen the guy.
Right. Well, but that is the next segment, which is, you guessed it, another talking segment in a row. So we have Swerve promo, Mariah May, Top Flight, Miro, and now we have Tony Schiavone standing in the ring with the Don Callis family. Behind him are 4 easels set up. Obviously, it's going to be more paintings that Don Callis had commissioned. So Don Callis comes up. It's a Boxing Day celebration, and it's Boxing Week. According to commentary, Boxing Day is a Canadian holiday. Apparently, it's a UK Commonwealth holiday. Whatever it is, it's definitely not Christmas. That's the whole point of it. Bah humbug. I think that joke fell flat the first time, and they repeated it many, many times. So Callis is coming with Kyle Fletcher, your Ring of Honor TV champion. That's important. Powerhouse Hobbs, which apparently got tattoos across the top of his chest in writing. Like, couldn't read them among all of his acne on his chest. And Takeshita, who was putting a brown Gucci belt with black pants, fashion faux pas. Don't think I don't notice how many people wearing Gucci belts on AEW for the last few years. They're obviously sponsored. It started with Dr. Britt Baker a couple of years ago, and it's been ridiculous. Even Malachi Black is wearing Gucci belts with his ring attire. Nothing says badass like Gucci belts. The only one that does is MJF, who wears that Ferragamo belt.
Have you been inspired to buy the Gucci?
I don't need them to inspire me to buy a Gucci belt. I already have the Ferragamo belt, but I'm too fat for the strap that I have. I mean, a trunk. Listen, we don't want to talk about me, but I do have Hermes, Louis Vuitton, Ferragamo, Santoni. I got some Alan Edmonds. I got some. I've got some stuff, but no Gucci belt. I do have Gucci shoes, though. Of course, I do. Anyway, so here we go. So they're looking at he's given presents, and so the paintings are, of course, racist. So the one with Hobbs, it's Don Callis wearing like a half bandana backwards on his head, sort of like how LAX used to wear it. And Hobbs is, I guess, wearing what is like overalls, but with only one strap up. And Hobbs loves this. Then the next one is, and of course Don Callis is all muscled up and is like he's a superhero. Then the next picture is with Takeshita, where Don Callis has Yakuza tattoos on both sides of his body, holding a katana, and Takeshita is above him with a katana because he's Japanese, of course. The next picture, I mean, is less racist. It's just stupid. It's Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis both being all muscled and throwing punches at kangaroos. So they're beating up kangaroos. And Don Callis keeps saying that the family is complete. There's a fourth painting there, but still they seem somewhat surprised when Sammy Guevara's music hits.
So no mention of the animal cruelty.
No mention of the animal cruelty to the.
Don't care about that. Don't care about the kangaroos.
Well, they were cartoon kangaroos. I don't think they were actually injured, and I didn't think that they actually posed with kangaroos, and if so, they were probably the Hardy's kangaroos at the compound, and they're probably and they're trained boxing kangaroos. So I mean, they're pugilists. So I stayed there. So what did you think? Am I over? Do you think that the paintings were racist, or were they just funny?
I'd be lying if I said I remembered all the way what the paintings looked like. I did appreciate your description of him, oiled up, jacked with the do-rag. I don't think that that's necessary. I've seen Vince McMahon oiled up with a do-rag on, jacked, So, yeah. I mean...
In 1998, in 2023, the world has changed just a little bit.
Did racism not exist in 1998?
I'd say it was worse.
Yeah.
Or at least not spoken about as much,
Not in this way, not something like this.
And I think it's because the younger generations are more comfortable talking about, which is what's supposed to happen. I mean, that's generally how progress is made. You have the people at the front end, and decades later at the young end, then it becomes the norm, and then it goes too far, and then the pendulum swings back to some point.
I was about to say
pendulum swing. I will always say that, but the pendulum, unlike a regular pendulum, it usually swings towards progress. I mean that's sort of.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, so. What else happened here? All right, so Sammy comes out, and last we saw Sammy Guevara, he had turned on Chris Jericho and joined the Callis family in heel fashion. Last we saw Don Callis, he was on TV on a pre-record segment where the Callis family won a tag team match, despite Kenny Omega already announcing that he had diverticulitis. Not in real time, but in airtime, they still aired the Don Callis promo against the Golden Jets, which they could have cut that out and kept the match on, but they didn't bother to do so. So Chris Jericho in the interim said, I'm going to get myself a partner, and I'm going to, still face Big Bill and Ricky Starks, because they're still in the background attacking Jericho every time they can, and the Golden Jets beat the Bucks so that they could get a tag team shot, and that was a match that was going to be on World's End. Instead of canceling the match, Jericho was going to get a partner. So I don't want to skip ahead because but go real quick. Sammy Guevara, the usual. When I was out, you didn't call. I didn't hear from you. I didn't get a baby gift. Don Cal said you didn't get it. Oh, the Canadian postal system, it's so bad. Nobody, you don't care about me. And then Don Cal said, what are you talking about? Just in case you would bother to show up for work, I had this painting made of you. And the painting is of the Callis family, all three of the guys, no stereotypes involved. And Callis, behind and looking very happy at Sammy Guevara in his blue Hawaiian shirt, because he only has the one, holding his baby. And Sammy Guevara gets very angry, saying, who told you could put my baby on your picture? Okay, dude, it's a painting and it looks like a baby. It doesn't look like your baby particularly. It looks like every goddamn baby that's ever been that is, a tone that's close to my skin tone.
And every baby looks like E.T.
Exactly. So this was stupid. Then you'd be surprised who cares about me and who called and who didn't. So the usual shit. And it's not just AEW. I mean, the OC and AJ just did the same thing 4 days earlier in lesser extent. So the Don Callis family beats him down, and Judas hits, and Jericho comes out with Floyd and beats them up, and then him and Sammy Guevara share an embrace.
The sex gods.
So the presumption is they're going to reunite. And I'm like, oh, they couldn't dust off Kota Ibushi for this, or maybe they thought this was better, or maybe, Sammy as a heel is a failure. Maybe they'll try Sammy as a face again, even though he's usually a failure. And here Sammy Guevara is 4.5 years later, still in the same position as Jericho's sidekick. But they gave me a swerve, but even a swerve that, in my opinion, you might differ, that's even worse. So Big Bill and Ricky Starks, the AEW Tag Team Champions, come in and attack Les Sex Gods. The lights go out. Normally that's a House of Black thing, but that wouldn't make any sense here, except maybe it would, because they've been targeting FTR, and maybe they could make it something, exciting, fatal four-way. Nope. It's Sting and Darby. Darby, I guess, is back from China, where he was allegedly training to climb Everest. Well, either his training is a lie, it's going to be in installments, or he's not taking it very seriously, because you need a lot more time to be able to breathe 5 miles up in the air. But anyway, they make the save. So Sting and Darby make the save, and Bill and Ricky bag out with their titles. Thoughts?
Well, it's AI. It's obviously not the real Darby. The advances of AI. It's crazy these days. I thought it made sense. I mean, they had Sammy waiting in the wings anyway. Nobody could have predicted what was going to happen with Kenny. Get well soon. You needed to plug someone in. They're already a tag duo. Why not plug in Sammy? I guess it makes sense.
That would make sense. I agree with you. But spoiler, that's not the match. The match for World's End, they took the tag team title match off the card, and we're getting an 8-man match. It's going to be Sting and Darby versus, I guess, Les Sex Gods versus Bill and Starks, and I guess it's Fletcher and Takeshita. I to be honest, I blinked out on the graphic. I'm not sure which 2 members of the Callis family it is.
Yeah, but they obviously, because the way that they're going with, because I got what they were trying to do with the Jericho and Omega angle. You can't really do that with Sammy. Sammy doesn't really have the cachet that Omega did, and he's not a legend like Jericho is. Omega and Jericho are kind of like one and the same in that way. So I mean, pivoting their gimmick in that way. So I guess it makes sense. You had to plug him in somewhere, unless you were going to completely pivot with Jericho, send him to singles. But I don't want to see that. Not that I don't enjoy Chris Jericho, I do, but I think there's some truth to what Eddie had to say about him holding some people back. I think it's time for him to let loose the reins a bit. And I'm really, really sorry to Sammy. I'm sorry that Callis didn't get you a present for your baby. I did get you a present for your baby. It is this commercial break that's about to happen, because we're already past the 30-minute mark. So stay tuned.
Please. I just don't see the point and the purpose of the Blackpool Combat Club anymore.
Oh.
I don't. Well, none of the BCC.
No, what is it called? The Bloodpool Combat Club.
The Blackpool Combat Club.
No, it's Blood.
Since when?
Since John Moxley.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, they should be at least the Blood, but they're not, and it makes no sense because not a single one of them is from Blackpool, England. And ever since the whole William Regal thing, he's gone. Why are they continuing on with this name? They should have figured out something different for it. It makes no sense. And to be completely honest with you, they're kind of irrelevant at this point as a unit. I mean, their whole it just doesn't. I'm not saying that as a negative. They're just not. They're nothing as a team anymore. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for them to be a team. They're not holding any gold. That's gone. It's done. It's better to go your separate ways at this point and figure out what's next.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I can't find a negative in that.
And I mean, can we not say, as you said, Shay, Danielson and Claudio, it slapped. It was a great match. And if they have a feud now, that would be pretty good. I could see that. And this could be the dysfunction continuing on and maybe going to Revolution to where we're having that blow off steam match. And, we're officially seeing the breakup of the Blackpool Combat Club.
Wow. I like that quick fire style there that was going on there. But Claudio versus Brian as a feud sounds tediously dull to me. So, I mean, I think our conclusion from the last segment is that Jericho is somehow glomming onto the Sting retirement tour now.
Or because technically, I mean, the tag title scene was his thing, so Sting is entering his wheelhouse.
Yeah, but I'm sure it was Jericho.
I'm sure Jericho will be like, I am the tag champ Me.
Can you rule out that all of the sudden Sting and Jericho don't become a tag team to be the two, like you put in Omega's a legend, or Omega's a legend within a certain fandom of wrestling, and that fandom is going to be, a lot of them are going to be AEW fans. Sting is a legend, so do you think that they're going to try to replace Omega with Sting, or just Sting's just with Darby, and it's just ride or die for the next few months if in fact this is his actual exit?
If they do that, they gotta switch. Like, they gotta put Sammy with Darby. They gotta do the Pillars versus the Icons. Actually, you know what? I almost stumbled into a good idea right there.
There you go. So next, what we have is another talking segment. Now, I know that these have not all been solely talking segments. There's been, yes, Bad Guy Jack, you are hilarious, and shout out to the Collision team, a show that probably from time to time I may show up on. So another talking segment with Roderick Strong with his joke that is no longer funny. He's there with the Kingdom, and basically he's yelling people's names. And again, he's got his conspiracy board showing the world that Max is in fact the devil. Okay, we got it. We know it's good. The rhymes you write, you issue. It's Roderick Strong. He's terrible. Mike Bennett is terrible. Out of the three of them, Matt Taven is the only one that has any talent.
This is one of his best runs in AEW, at least.
I know, but they're terrible. It's all terrible. And I think the funniest part about this, and not that I miss her, but somehow Maria Kanellis works for these companies, but she's not allowed on AEW television. Why is that?
You miss Maria?
No, I do not. I don't miss Mike Bennett either. I didn't miss Matt Melvin Taven, and I certainly don't miss Roderick Strong. But I mean, what has she done that she's the only person that actually is part of the company? I presume apparently you see her from time to time on Ring of Honor as a authority figure with the women's division. I don't know it because I haven't watched Ring of Honor since the third episode they had. But I'm not pining for. I just don't understand why she's being omitted. Of all the people in the universe, like everyone else and their mothers on this show. I mean, you have KP, formerly from TNA, Ali K's cousin, who's backstage security. The Von Erichs get a cameo on the back as backstage security. Scotty Two Hotties on the damn show. But Rick Kanellis is not allowed.
Well, when she gets a movie made about her life, she'll get a cameo, okay?
Well, this wasn't those Von Erichs weren't involved in it. I mean, the ones about their movie, for most of the day.
Zac Efron.
Yeah. So, okay. So our next match takes us to the blue bracket finals of the Continental Classic Tournament. This is Eddie Kingston against Bryan Danielson. This is, we're reminded that Bryan Danielson has never been defeated by Eddie Kingston in the career, and that Bryan used to call Eddie a bum. And today, Bryan thinks Eddie is still a bum because today, Bryan is a heel. And he very much wrestles as a heel. He's playing mind games. He's controlling the tempo with Eddie Kingston. That'd be interesting if he's facing Eddie Guerrero. Talk about a mind fuck. Am I allowed to say the F word on Unpopular Review?
See.
Okay, mind fuck. There we go. Curses are over. Yeah, cursing is tight.
I just bleep like AEW does.
There you go. Good. So, heel Bryan. This match to me felt slow and clunky and a little choreographed. And I realized that Bryan still can't lift his arm and he only has one eye, and depth perception is sort of important. And that Eddie Kingston is, probably not in the best cardio of all people. But I didn't really much enjoy this match. I'm not saying who won yet, but I guess I wanted to get your thoughts.
Well, I was going to say that this is the people's main event. I was most looking forward to this match. Not that and also, well, no, I'm not going to skip to the main event. I'm just going to talk about this. I was about to, spoil. You didn't even say who won this match, but
nope, not yet.
Yeah, I when you say that the match was slow, yes, I do think that that's the case. I do think that they lost the crowd at certain points because of that. But I don't know if the chicken came before the egg. I don't know if the match felt slow because the crowd wasn't super into it at certain points, or I don't know if the match was slow and that made it lose the crowd. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought the story. I mean, I knew what Brian was doing at the beginning. He's the heel. He's controlling the tempo. He would lock up with Eddie Kingston, then he'd dive out of the ring or whatever. So in between the ropes, so the ref would have to stop it. But then I figured the next thing would Brian would speed things up to try and gas Eddie Kingston because he's fat, and that's basically what he's saying.
Listen, the crowd was behind Eddie. They don't care nothing about that gut.
No, I know, but when he calls him a bum, he's saying you're fat and not a shape, and that's a euphemism. And and he is their Kevin Owens. He is their everyday fire, the Sandman or whatever. Pick whoever your nom de jour is. But anyway, so at the end, Eddie. Brian thought he was going to get his finisher, but Eddie actually turned around and did his backward punch. I don't know what he calls it, but it's basically the Judas effect with a closed fist. Caught Brian completely off guard, and while Brian was still trying to fight it off, Eddie Kingston hit him with a few more of those, and then a bunch of power bombs and Blue Thunder bombs. But Eddie Kingston powered Brian up for one more power bomb, put all his weight on top of the legs, rolled them up, and he got the win. So Eddie Kingston shakes it. Gets the win. We're not getting BCC versus BCC. We're getting Kingston versus Moxley, the two best friends, and Kingston, who they really should have made more about the fact that he started this tournament as the underdog, having to give up his titles, giving away everything, and lost his first two matches. Coming in was he was down, had 0 points going into the third match, and then he won his three, had 9 points. I guess he was facing Brian because Brian had 10. He had 10 because him and Claudio had a draw, and I guess Claudio had, I don't know, 7. I'm not even really sure what the scoring was or how it worked. But,
and I am being told that the match translated better live, so maybe I'll look up a live video of it. But
I think everything translates better live. I mean, I'm never going to criticize any wrestling fan to be at any show to say they had a good time, because wrestling is always fun when you're there and you've got the energy of a crowd and you're into it and you see things in person. It's just it feels bigger, it feels faster, it feels more impactful. It's just you're part of the show. So I'm glad that it translated better for the crowd, but I don't really put any stock in that. It's just like, people cheer for Roderick Strong yelling in the crowd, but in TV land, they're groaning and
disagree. I like Roderick Strong, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, this is a show that debuted at over 1.4 million people viewing and had an immediate replay for another 2 hours. Had over 800,000 people watch the replay and had a third replay on Saturday night for another 600,000 people in week 1. Last week they did 782,000.
But you didn't even like that episode.
No, I did. I did.
No, I mean, what are we doing here?
But from 1/1/20 through August-September 20, I thought AEW was far and away the best wrestling product I was watching. After that, it sort of got hit or miss, but AEW was generally as good or better than.
That was a good run from them that time period. Yeah,
oh, it was fabulous.
I definitely think the company, not just actually, I was gonna say the product. I actually do like the Continental Classic. I like the renewed focus on I guess in-ring combat. It's easier for me to because the show's like it's 2 hours of television every week. And I watch Dynamite every week, and I do try to sometimes keep up with Collision and Rampage. I rarely, if ever, watch Collision. And when the focus is matches, it's easier for me to I guess have that on if I'm not able to pay attention to it. And I enjoy that kind of stuff, but it's definitely, I guess, a low point for the company. But the pendulum swings, that's ebbs and flows. They probably had their highest point when they were able to sell 80K tickets. Now, look at them now. So I think it's
No one will ever convince
Every
me
company
that,
goes through it, especially wrestling companies. So
no one will ever convince me that 40,000 of those tickets weren't bought by different various holding companies and bots owned by one Tony Khan.
well, they were in the building, so unless those holding companies showed up with the tickets, then
I don't know. I'm sure they gave the tickets away, but 72,000 people were in the building. That's how many tickets were scanned. And despite what other people will tell you, every ticket gets scanned. There's no other way to get in the building. Even if you go into a luxury box, your ticket gets scanned. That's the way it's always been, and certainly it's been the way since 9/11.
let me ask you this: do you think that they book that arena again?
They already have.
With 40K, no, I'm saying, do you think that they get to book it again with 40K of those tickets being given away?
I think that, sure, because Tony Khan has all the money in the world. What does he care?
What does he care about the company?
No. What does he care about profit? The company's already losing millions of dollars. It's his vanity project. This is like having a racehorse. You still have the racehorse. It doesn't win, but you still have to feed it and take care of it. It's not about making money. It's about saying, I did Wembley 2 years in a row. I mean, this is the problem with AEW. This is what went wrong with them from that golden era going forward. They hired a bunch of free agents, and that was a good idea to supplement their mostly indie shindy roster and to supplement the like the Ring of Honor level type people who were TV ready, and some of the NWA people they got. And then he just kept buying people. He's been in constant acquisition phase ever since then. And the company has lost its personality, and you can't keep track with things. I mean, where's Scorpio Sky? Where's Pac? Where's Lance Archer? Where's Sean Spears? He was in the Pinnacle. He's the pinnacle of Dr. Noah Body. In any event, this is not.
I will say, by the way, that AEW is a private company. We don't actually know how much money they make, and I'm sure they have budgets. Which, if you don't really care about profit, why have a budget? Why not just go out? I do agree that he went crazy with the spending. Where is Lance Archer?
They don't have a budget. They have absolutely no budget. And if there's any budget, how much can he hide under Ring of Honor, which is also a private? There's only one owner of AEW, and that's Tony Khan. There's only one owner of Ring of Honor, and that's Tony Khan. The only person who was paid back was Pervez Shah Khan. I guarantee you that he's paid up. I mean, Tony Khan told us that he's the 100% voting owner, and he's the 100% decision maker. Some people speculate that Time Warner or Warner Bros. Discovery gets a piece of the action, but they're non-equity. If Tony Khan did that, he's a goddamn moron. Anyway, but budget, they don't have, I promise you that. And the video game, which is the original excuse for being, what they say, 8 figures in the hole, was a flop. So it remains in the hole. Anyway, this is not that show. So Kingston wins. Moxley comes in. They have a standoff. Moxley's saying, I'm already in your head because you can't beat me. And, a couple of years ago, I let you die in your shield and gave you the Warrior's exit, but it's not going to be that easy that time. I've always wanted you to be at your best. I mean, he sort of went from a face to a heel, which is typical for BCC. He's like, for a guy who thinks everyone's against him, a lot of people in this building love you. And then he turned on him and said, but you suck and I'm going to beat you. And you've already lost and you know it. And Kingston said, oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to beat you, Johnny, because I'm the greatest. And then he yells to somebody named Tofu or whatever and says, that's my outline, so that they knew to play his music.
That was a great promo, by the way.
Okay. So what do we have next? Another talking segment. So it's Christian with Lexi. Where's Adam Copeland? I've been waiting all night for him, and he's standing there with the prodigy, Nick Wayne, and not Shayna Wayne, but Mother Shayna Wayne. And then Adam Copeland comes in and brawl, 5-5-5. Nick Wayne gets in a lick, but he gets tossed aside. Apparently, Nick Wayne recovers from a concerto more quickly than Lucha's Killswitch, because Killswitch is nowhere to be found there or outside. They brawl into the hall. A bunch of wrestlers try to break them apart. This is where we saw such people as Josh the Goods Woods, another Where Is He Now? We saw Serpentico. We saw Top Flight. And this is where we saw Marshall involve Ross Von Erich, as well as the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. So this is some exciting stuff. Anyway, brawl, brawl, brawl. Can't keep them apart. Brawl, brawl, brawl. And boy, Adam Copeland and Christian, they're going to tear the house down for this TNT title. Boy, is there bad blood here. It feels so real.
Why are you saying it like that?
Because it doesn't feel real at all. It feels stupid. And you know what? They were better off when people were pretending that Shayna Wayne was hot and like everybody thought she was a MILF, because now they've actually seen her and they realize she's not.
I'm surprised that do you not like the feud, the Edge like Christian feud, or are you just off the Adam Copeland thing altogether?
I'm off the Adam Copeland thing. I don't like Nick Wayne. I think the only thing that's humorous at all is that he keeps finding people whose fathers died. So that's clever. But I'm not sure. I think that maybe like they put that upon him and he found the theme. I don't think that was anyone else's idea but his. I think he was going to be with Nick Wayne, whether he came up with that or not. I don't know that I'm right. One day we'll find out. But so that's good. But I mean, come on. Nick Wayne is in a more prominent role than Miro or Andrade. I mean, that's really all anybody needs to know about AEW and this company, is that Nick Wayne is in a more prominent place than actual world championship caliber wrestlers. All right. So next match is Chris Statlander against Dark Blue or Misty Blue or Storm Blue or Storm Cloud Blue or whatever she's called now. Sky Blue. Stokely Hathaway is stoking flames of dissent. He's trying to get Chris Statlander to turn heel, I guess, and to join Ring of Honor or to be an AEW women's title picture. I don't know. It seems like they want to turn every female wrestler heel in this company. Every time they build a semi-successful face, they want to turn them heel. But anyway, the story of this match is that it's sort of back and forth. But they keep talking about that Sky Blue and Julia Hart are friends. Apparently, Stokely doesn't just have heat with Chris Statlander. He sort of thinks that Willow is useless and not pulling her weight as a friend. No real mention about Abaddon, who's the one in the title match. Julia Hart does sneak out at some point from under the ring or whatever, and she does some spooky stuff, interferes, which enables Sky Blue to win in the match. And then the two of them beat up Chris Statlander. Willow comes out and makes the save, and at that point I write down, no, Abaddon, isn't she the one in the match? And then Abaddon comes out, but she only comes up to the top of the rampway and won't move from the top of the rampway.
I was about to say, actually, she did appear, but yeah.
And so Julia Hart and Misty Dark Cloud Thunderclap Blue are on the ramp halfway through. They don't want to go towards Abaddon, even though they still have a number, and they don't want to go back to the ring because it's Willow and Chris Statlander. None of the faces are approaching them. So what do they do to avoid Abaddon? They just walk off the ramp and walk to the side exit, which, if anyone wants to know, if they haven't seen AEW before, it's the same setup as always. And at any point, Abaddon could have come down and jumped on either one of them easily. At some point, it was about a 1 foot leap, but no, Abaddon couldn't move. She was like one of those video game like dinosaurs that sort of stuck in place. Screensaver. She was and I think somebody who was yelling at somebody said, "She's gonna eat you! She's gonna eat you!"
Oh gosh!
I think it was
how long until Willow Nightingale turns heel? We'll say.
I don't know. They're all
the mist spewed in her face.
That's right. The mist has different impacts on everyone. Everyone takes it differently and at their own time. So, yes, Willow as a heel could be interesting. I mean, the strange thing is, like, they actually had a story there, and Sky Blue was actually over as a face, and Willow was over as a face. Chris Statlander is not, and she's terrible. She's actually would be a good heel because she's sort of big and strong, and she sounds mean. But you know,
don't worry, they'll get their crown jewel back soon. Britt Baker's on her way.
Ah, thank goodness. And I guess Jamie Hayter can't be far behind because they can.
Yeah.
Now, where's Rebel? She disappeared. I mean, age-appropriate Rebel, for me anyway. So next we have Renee, and she's talking to Ruby Soho, and Saraya apologizes, for interrupting. Ruby Soho is apparently someone who they're going to turn face, or they want to. Saraya got Ruby a birthday present, and it's Harley Cameron. And I don't know, Ruby gets distracted. She's sort of called by Angelo Cool Hand, and Soraya's like still saying, "Oh, I love that guy," even though she hates him. And obviously Ruby doesn't watch the TV show back, so she couldn't possibly ever find out about it, or nobody that knows Ruby would ever tell her that Soraya's been saying that on TV. So Ruby goes off, and Saraya goes, show Renee the surprise, and Harley Cameron, I guess, is a psycho now and not part of QTV, and she pulls out a giant butcher's knife, and that scares Renee, and Saraya says, no, not that surprise, the other thing, and then they will show her next week, and they walk away. And sadly, this segment was one of my high points of the show.
The butcher knife popped me, can't lie.
The whole thing. This romance between Ruby Soho and Ugly Angelo Parker, and breaking up with Matt Menard, and Saraya hates him, and Matt Menard hates it, and this whole thing works for me. And Harley Cameron, all I can say is boobs. So
I know they had to change it because it's definitely a face theme song, but if there is one silver lining, Ruby Soho getting that song back, I would like to see it.
Okay, well, I think before we go into our main event, we should go to our next commercial.
Look at that segue. Boom.
I think it's time Gunther can lose the championship.
If Gunther drops that belt, then he's winning the Royal Rumble.
No chance in hell Gunther
wins. Gunther drops that belt. I mean, I think they are. They're gonna give it to Punk, but
you have to realize the only person who's winning that Royal Rumble is somebody who's going to main event WrestleMania against one of the world champions. It's not going to be Gunther. Seth Rollins and CM Punk, they'll be dummies not to have that match. It will look just as stupid as not having Hogan Flair at WrestleMania 8.
Here's the thing. You notice how the tag team titles were the main event of one WrestleMania, right? That kind of thing never happened before. Yeah, that kind of thing never happened before. But it happened this time because the story was big enough.
Yeah, but there is no story big enough because the Bloodline story was building for 2.5 years. This is not, unless you want to pretend that the story started in Ring of Honor 14 years ago.
I know the main event of WrestleMania Night 1 this year was very controversial because some people thought it should have been Rhea and Charlotte, which I somewhat agree.
Wait.
I believe that the Women's Royal Rumble that winner should main event Night 1 and Night 2. I think it should be the same stipulation as the men. However, this past year, even though I think it should have been Rhea and Charlotte to a certain extent, I completely understand and cannot disagree with why they won the tag team championship. Absolutely. And I think they made a fantastic decision in that match. I voted for it. It didn't win. I voted for match of the year. I thought that match between the in-ring action, the storytelling in the match, and before the match, I thought nothing was beating. That tag team title match I just thought was perfect. I thought it was exactly how WrestleMania always should be. The perfect ending. It was just phenomenal.
Wow, a lot of action there.
You're in two places at once. Wow.
Yeah, three really. One of the few people who can steamroll me on the air is the executive consultant. I need more solo shows. More me. So now we're going to get to our main event, which is supposed to be the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships with the World's Champion AEW and co-Ring of Honor Champion MJF, who won these titles, 5 months ago with Adam Cole, and has defended them alone twice, and with Samoa Joe twice, and with Adam Cole exactly 0 times, which is not a thing, but still is a thing. And they're going to face 2 members of the Devil's Crew, who are still to be unidentified. So at this point, it is already past 9:50 when this is happening. We did not get the little tweet from Tony Condit. Thank you, WTBS, for allowing us to have a 5-minute overrun, which, by the way, none of the 3 weeks they announced it did make it to my DVR system, to Verizon Fios, or to Dish TV, or YouTube TV. So apparently no one at Turner is telling the cable systems that, which is not a great sign. But at least he tried, which is better than the first 2 weeks when they were overruns and they weren't announced and nobody saw them. And then we saw Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer have we saw mommy and daddy fight. So anyway, so they're facing 2 members. So last week I said I expect there to be some chicanery with this match. I wouldn't be surprised if the match doesn't happen and if they show us that Samoa Joe was hurt. Now I got that right, because MJF, he's announced. The 2 people from Devil come out of from the crowd. They're wearing like sort of canvas jackets, so you can't really tell their build or who they are. it could be Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, but frankly, it could be any, two, guys. It's hard to say. MJF comes to the ring. There's a delay with Samoa Joe's music. They show the camera. Samoa Joe's knee is hurt. He's holding his knee. He's screaming in pain. One, backroom guy, security or whatever, comes and is like, hey, what's going on here? And Samoa Joe says something like, get my corner or something. I don't know what he was saying. But then they cue back to MJF, says, no, we're going to do this. So MJF, being the will fight anything face, which is exactly the opposite of him as a heel. And during the first half of his face run, I guess Adam Cole changed him, even though overworking made Adam Cole injured 9,000 times in the past year. And MJF starts going at the two of them. He's doing all right on his own, but at some point they take the match outside. His left shoulder is heavily supported in a brace. His knee is wrapped up. He's got the tape on the other side of his body. He's got a real shoulder injury. He had a hip subluxation dislocation about 2 months ago. And a third member of the Devil's Crew is out from under the ring with a pipe, presumably what they used on Joe, but maybe not, because, how'd he get to the ring? Anyway, he hits MJF on that injured shoulder, and from that point on, the bad guys take over. They hit what looked like to be a Widow's Peak DDT. They hit some other move. They want to use the ropes. Whoever the heel is apparently wants to use the second ropes as leverage. Then he decides he wants to use the first ropes as leverage. Then he decides he doesn't want to do it. And I don't know if he was supposed to be doing that on purpose, if his balance was just off, but it threw off the fact that I missed that the ref counted to 3. But the ref, in fact, did count to 3, and 2 unnamed, unidentified members of the Devil's Crew are your new Ring of Honor Tag Team champions. And then the third one comes in and they beat down MJF. You hear Samoa Joe's music again. He's limping in, favoring his leg. He's holding the chair. A ref and that one security guy is trying to hold him back. And he comes to the ring and clears the ring. And then you get the distortion on the Jumbotron, and the devil appears. He's not revealed. It's the mask. And the lettering comes on the screen, and it says, "It was nice doing business with you." And then you see Joe stand up straight. He's no longer leaning on the chair, and he winds up that chair, and the crowd knows what's up. It's a double cross, and Samoa Joe hits MJF across the back with the chair, and then he does the power, his Buster move. I forget what he calls it, but basically beats the crap out of MJF, lays him out in advance for their match at World's End. And the inference is Samoa Joe the devil, or was he just working with the devil the whole time, or was he bought off by the devil now? But whatever it is, MJF, who newly now found friendship, was betrayed by a friend, and there you have it. Samoa Joe never had his back. So I thought a pretty swerve to end the show, but what do you think?
That was a lot. They started, because for my feed, they started this like where the show was supposed to end, like 10. So I was like, yeah, this is gonna be some tomfoolery, obviously. I felt like because they tried to pack so much in a small amount of time, it felt a little overbooked, to be honest. I don't think that we needed, unless Samoa Joe is the devil, which I don't think that's the case. The way he appears is very obvious, and so if that was him behind that mask, it would have been, yeah. But yeah, I mean, he didn't need that. Going into the match, it was already built up, at least for me. I just felt like this was a lot going on. Actually, this episode in general, it just felt like there was a lot happening. So yeah, I mean, sure. I guess the swerve is cool, but like I said, it just felt overbooked to me.
Well, believe it or not, I try to find whatever I like that I can, since I have to watch the show and have to watch it in real time and can't fast forward. I 100% agree with you that they packed a lot in, a lot felt rushed and clunky, and that's because these Continental Classic matches have to take pretty close to the full 20 minutes, not including introductions and the aftermath. So you already have basically 50 minutes of your TV, of your time spoken for, which is almost half the show. And you have a pay-per-view where until today you had about half a card set up. So anyway, if I was to give this show a grade for a go-home show, I think I would have to just give it no better than a C. I mean, I thought the first triple threat match was pretty good. I thought that there were parts in here, but I felt like the show felt disjointed and rushed. And I sort of liked the end. It's just taken us so long to get here, but we did get something. So I mean, I want to go to C plus, but I can't. I just can't say plus. And I realize that C plus isn't a great score either for a go home show.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, because it's a go home show, right? The goal of a go home show is to make you more excited. I'm not more excited to see Swerve and Keith. I'm not any more excited to see the MJF match with Samoa Joe than I was before. I'm not more excited for the Continental Classic just because, like I said, the people main event, in my opinion, that was Kingston and Danielson. That match didn't really translate for me on TV. And so it didn't make me more excited. So,
and we've seen Kingston and Moxley face each other at least 3 or 4 times, and this company is only been on TV for 4.5 years.
Not that that's a big time match that we should save. I can see them squaring off a few times. Like, if this was if this was Brian and Omega and you faced 20 times, I'd be like, okay, like, we get it. But this is Eddie, and also Eddie, as much as I love Eddie, he needs a good dance partner. No one's better than Brian, so I can see why they stick them together a lot,
Yeah, but it's Moxley in the final, so I mean they both wrestle the same style. It's like the same guy.
Even better. That match is going to be sponsored by Neosporin.
Or at least Band-Aid.
Oh, Charmaine.
Hi, Charmaine. How are you? So, all right. So this is the go-home show. So I think that maybe, first, Unpopular Review is going to have a World's End prediction show. I believe it's going to be recorded tomorrow night. So look for that around 9:00 p.m. Eastern time. My understanding it's going to be the executive consultant and Big Daddy Cool Esteban Pineapple. And maybe we should just run through the card as we understand it, because it's always subject to change. But my understanding is on the pre-show, it's going to be Wheeler Yuta facing Hook for the FTW title. There's going to be a 20-man battle royal, and the winner gets to call his shot for a opportunity at the TNT title. None of the participants have been announced. I am presuming that they will put FTR versus House of Black on this card as well, that will be announced during Dynamite, but I'm not really sure because Rampage seems like it has, they booked an hour's worth of show. We already talked about the 8-man match with Darby and Sting and members of Don Callis family against Jericho and Sammy Guevara, Les Sex Gods. Who was the other bad guy team that's on this? Oh, Ricky Starks and Big Bill, your tag team champions. Andrade versus Miro with maybe CJ will be well enough to be there. I hope so, but they mention it. Swerve versus Keith Lee. Hopefully either the end of this feud or the start of an actual feud that will play out in actual time that we can get interested again. Toni Storm defends her timeless AEW championship against Riho. I'm sure people are psyched about that. Julia Hart defends her TBS championship against Abaddon in a match I'm sure everybody's waiting for. Spooky versus Spooky. Terrific. We've got your Continental Classic final. We were just talking about Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. We have Adam Copeland versus Christian for the, I think this is a no holds barred match, and it's for your TNT championship. And Samoa Joe against a maybe injured Malcolm Jacob Friedman for the AEW World Champion.
Jacob.
Friedman, MJF, yeah, that's what it stands for. Maxwell, not Malcolm. Okay, right, okay. Malcolm in the middle. All right, Maxwell. What a fan I am. I think that's it for the card. I don't know. We don't need to do predictions because they're going to do it tomorrow, and Steve, Ron, and myself will do it on our podcast, The Hammerlock Hangover, as well. So
I have a prediction that pay-per-view will be 5 hours because AEW pay-per-views are marathons.
Yeah, and they'll probably put things on the pre-show, some Ring of Honor matches and stuff like that. So, in any event, you have any promotion for yourself that you want to give?
Hi, I am the sheriff. Please like me.
You're not even on X any longer.
I'm not on X. I don't tweet a lot, no. I used to back in the day. People will remember. I used to be a Twitter, but I'm on Facebook now. Oh, join the Celebration Sons of Wrestling group. New mod. Sorry, Jeff, took your spot. I had to. Someone had to do it.
Well,
the inmates are running the asylum over there.
Well, I know that the mods have been terrible, but I was banned from being there. So maybe with you as the mod, maybe I'll come back. Who knows?
Banned?
Well, I wasn't banned, but I wasn't allowed back in. I didn't really request it, but Steve put in under Hammerlock Hangover to come back. But that entails me, although I never go on the Hammerlock Hangover Facebook page, so I probably wouldn't have. But I'm sure it wasn't Steve. They were keeping out. I'm sure
that Steve guy out of here. Nope.
But maybe I'll come back and you'll put me in there. Who knows? But Solomon, he's got me blocked on Twitter.
Did you guys have a falling out?
Not that I'm aware of, but apparently he doesn't like to be challenged. He just likes to be worshipped. So
maybe he was tired of seeing Evil Dose.
Could be, but that's another reason why Evil Dose shall prevail. In any event, maybe one day you'll see me on the Solomon Show Sounds Off again. Listen, a good move for that group, whether I'm involved or not, to have a new mod in the sheriff, some Law and Order. They had some real disasters over there. If that means that WB is no longer involved, that is only a positive. Because I've heard nothing but bad things, though people stopped texting me and DMing me, about 3/4 of a year ago about things, but I've been gone 2.5 to 3. It's about 3 years now that I've been gone.
It's been a while.
And it's been that long that I've been getting messages from people like, it's terrible. Like, I don't care. Not my problem. But you can find me at Icarus Fell MD on Twitter if you like to, or X. You can find me on Facebook under my Christian name. Again, Hammerlock Hangover, and my non-wrestling podcast is Garden of Doom, and you get Garden Views. That's more like esoteric, paranormal, mythology, all sorts of fun stuff like that. And Garden Views is a little bit more earth-based, law, business, tech. I have an interview with a marine biologist. Been waiting for that for a while. Anyway, so please like, subscribe, and follow on Popular Review. Share, get more subscriptions up. We are over 1,000 followers, which, by the way, is where we were working on when I left on Popular Review initially 2.5 years ago. So, but we're above it again. So, yay! So let's keep that going. So our new goal is 2,000. So everyone, help us out. Take your mother's phone, your brother's phone, your sister's phone, your friend's phone, your girlfriend's phone, your boyfriend's phone, your cat's phone, whatever, and hit subscribe on all those devices to the YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter and X and probably other places where cool kids congregate. But I'm not a cool kid, so I don't know them.
Unpopular Review is not responsible for what you may find in your boyfriend's phone when you go to like our channel.
But we are responsible for what you find in your girlfriend's phone, and those will be pictures of me. So, with that said, I appreciate you coming in to help me out. I don't appreciate my stupid co-host for week 2 not being here, so I have to lead a podcast. Obviously, I'm not very good at it, but maybe I am. Maybe this is the best show ever. Who knows?
Oh, you did well.
Oh,
you had all the you were naming segments that I forgot even happened. Truthfully,
I had to take notes. I'm 55. I can't remember jack or shit. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for viewing. I don't know if we have another commercial, but if we don't, stay evil, my friends.
We don't have a commercial, but we have this. Okay.